Alright. Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Patch of the Week. Last Monday I published a really cool jam using only 3 VOLCAs FM. We decided to make a song using only 3 of those devices, so all the sounds are generated from the VOLCAs FM. So the challenge here was that one VOLCA FM had to generate an entire drum kit, and that's how it's done. Let's get right into it. I started off by finding the appropriate patch. I'm guilty, I did not program this myself. I think this is a little bit too advanced for my FM skills at the moment because this patch uses some advanced key tracking. This patch is called bass plus snare plus tom, and what's really cool about it is that in here you have a kick drum, 2 octaves, snare drum, and toms. Which is actually amazing how someone programmed that. One thing to keep in mind though is that the VOLCA FM by default adds a chorus to every sound, and you have to turn this off because with the chorus there seems to be a bit of a snare drum delay. I'm actually going to take advantage of the polyphony of the VOLCA to program kick and snare at the same time. So first of all, let's start with the kick. A basic patch. And now how about a snare? Something pretty basic. And for this one, let's try and do a like that. A fill. Let's do it in here. Alright, so here's the final patch. With some toms. And now what I do is actually I process everything through the Octatrack. So I'm sending the output from the VOLCA into the A and B inputs on the Octatrack. I have a through track in here set up to A and B with the volume cranked all the way up. And then I have 2 neighbors in here, which gives me a total of 6 effects. And I'm going to start with some lo-fi. To add some distortion. That's pretty cool. I like that. It's nasty. And then some compressor. Take the ratio even higher, so that's more even. That's cool. And now on a neighbor track, I'm going to set up a filter. Just to tame it a little bit. Maybe a little more distortion. I like that. And then in here, let's add some reverb. Just a tiny touch of reverb. Cool. So I'm actually sending this to my main output in the studio mode, which means that I can go to my delay control and I can do this. so I can glitch it using freeze delay on my master track. So I have not used any CCs in this patch, or I have not parameter locked anything, because this adds an element of performance using the knobs on the VOLCA FM. So if you take the velocity down, it removes the snare. Remove the decay, it becomes this weird thing, and then you can filter it out. And bring it back. That's actually pretty cool. So that's the patch, but I still don't have the hi-hat in here. And I tried using parameter locks to change the decay and create a very short sound on the patch, but it wasn't really working out well. So I had a bit of a problem in here. And then it occurred to me that I can use a sync out, which is actually generating an 8 note in this sort of CV very short sound. So what I did is I routed this into input C, and I used a through track and input C, and then it's routing this to both outputs. So it's changing a mono signal into a stereo signal. And here it is. So what we can do later is just use some effects. First of all, filter this out a little bit. Then use some delay to give it some groove. Something like that. And then use my other neighbor in here to maybe add some compression. To give it more control. That's cool. And then maybe more filtering. Maybe some filter distortion. Oh, that's cool, I like that. And finally, I'm going to put a freeze delay on the last one, which means that I can do this. And so on and so forth. The drawback is it never stops, so you need to mute it if you don't want to hear it. So let's hear the full thing. And you can actually experiment with that and get some really, really cool effects. I actually decided to send the hi-hat to the Q output using the studio mode, which means that I have completely separate lines and I can track them into the sound card completely separately, which is awesome because then you can manipulate that better in the mix. Yeah, so that's the patch. I'm actually really proud of this patch because I managed to maximize the potential of the VOLCA FM to generate kick, snare, toms, and the hi-hat, which is actually pretty cool. If you have any questions about this patch, let me know in the comments. I'd be more than happy to answer them. If you're new to this channel, consider subscribing to catch more tutorials, more jams, and more opinions. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great night. Take care.